Hello everyone, I'm Santiago, and today I'm going to be showing you my 13 picks for the Steam Sale 2017. I'll just briefly talk about the game and what I think about it, plus the price, and I will also show you the different prices on different regions. You'll see it at the top of the price that I'll show. If you don't agree with this list, that's okay. You can have different opinions. You might ask why this game isn't on the list. Well, I cannot put every game on the list, so I just put the ones that I thought were the best prices, plus that I enjoyed the most. So don't expect very new games. Only 3 games on this list are over $20, so expect everything under 20 except 3 games. So let's get started, shall we? So first, The Witcher 2, 85% off. $2.99 US, so $3, very cheap. Actually, I'm quite impressed of the price of this game. It's a very complete game, it has very good combat, it's very challenging, but it has some performance issues. It was a pretty bad PC port back then. It improved a lot with patches, but it still has some minor issues, since it streams a lot of data from the hard drive and it's not very effective. That's why I had some performance issues while traveling from area to area, but overall it's a fantastic game. Also, The Witcher 3 is on sale for $24.99 for the Game of the Year edition. If you get the standard version, it's $23.99. For $1, you get all the DLC, so just get The Witcher 3 Game of the Year edition. It includes Blood and Wine DLC and Hearts of Stone. Those 2 DLCs are like getting The Witcher 4. They just expand the story of the game. They add a lot of new stuff. Blood and Wine even gets you a new big city to explore. You may already know about The Witcher 3, so I won't really comment more about it. But yeah, for $24.99 with all the DLC, it's a fantastic price. Batman Arkham City, the second game in the Batman Arkham games. Batman Arkham Asylum and Batman Arkham Origins are both at $4.99 too. So if you want to get one of those 3 games, they are $5 each. But the one I liked the most was Batman Arkham City, that's why I'm recommending this right now. 75% off, $5. This one includes the base game plus all the DLC, so for $5 you get the full Batman Arkham City game, which is a game with a lot of content, the classic Batman style game. In my opinion, this was the best of the Arkham games, so I recommend you check it out, and you even get the DLC. Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, 50% off, which knocks it down to $9.99. This is the standard edition, it doesn't include any DLC, but if you want to buy the DLC, it will be a little more expensive. I think it's like $15 more, so I don't think it's a good idea to get the gold edition. This is one of the best Assassin's Creed games, but the things that I liked the most were all in relation to the naval combat and all that kind of stuff. There are a lot of islands, and you can just go into the sea and do whatever you want, attack other ships, try to get some treasure, following some maps. It's quite an interesting game. In my opinion, it's a good pirate game. It has the Assassin's Creed stuff that some people hate, like me for example, that I don't like tailing people and listening to their conversations. I find it quite annoying just to follow them. But once you get out of the first parts of the game, you get your own ship and all that kind of stuff, and you do whatever you want. It's a fantastic pirate game. But keep in mind that this game requires you to install Uplay, so you have to be running Steam. Then when you launch the game, it launches Uplay, and then it launches the game. So keep that in mind. Borderlands 2, 75% off, which knocks it down to $5 or $4.99, whatever you want to call it. This is without the DLC. If you want it with the DLC, get the Game of the Year edition. It's around $3 to $4 more. You might want to check that one out. I personally didn't play the DLC, so I cannot give my opinion on it, but there are a lot of pieces of DLC that you can check out. This game has tons of weapons, tons of shooting, it has a good sense of humor, the characters are quite hilarious, some of them, and it has a lot of content. I really recommend it for $5. Deus Ex Human Revolution, 80% off, which knocks it down to $3.99. I like this game way more than Mankind Divided. It's a great stealth game. You can choose to be stealthy or just go guns blazing, but in this one I don't recommend going guns blazing. The first person shooter mechanics are not that good, but you can do it if you want, it's possible. This game has a great story, a great soundtrack. It includes the DLC, so you have a longer story mode, and for $4 you can sink hours and hours into this game. I have like 30 or 40 hours into it. It's quite a lot of fun. Doom 2016, 50% off, which knocks it down to $14.99. This was my favorite game of 2016, a great first-person shooter. It's not an open-world game, it's more of a linear shooter with open areas. The first-person shooter mechanics are fantastic, it doesn't take itself seriously at all, and I was able to beat it in around 2 or 3 sittings, which is insane for me. I usually take my time with all the games. It has a multiplayer mode, but I don't think that it's that good. I recommend it for the single-player experience though. Dying Light Enhanced Edition, 60% off, which knocks it down to $23.99 US. This was one of my favorite games the year it came out. When it just released, it had a lot of performance issues. Right now that's not the case. By just lowering the draw distance, you can get a great FPS boost and be pretty much at 60 frames per second. Even on a GTX 1050 Ti, it's not that difficult. It even got some improvements in the graphics a few years after it released, and it has great DLC. This doesn't include all the DLC, so keep that in mind. But the developers recently told everyone that they were going to make more DLC for this game, but the DLC will be 100% free, so we're getting 10 new pieces of DLC this year. We're getting new enemies, some new areas, and more quests. So that's awesome. It's killing zombies, parkour. This is what Dead Island should have been. LA Noire, 70% off. $8.99 US. This is for the complete edition. You can get the base game for $5.24 and the DLC for $3.14. For some reason, if you just buy those two things separately, you get the game $0.61 cheaper than getting the complete edition, so I'm not sure what's the point. But anyway, the game itself is fantastic, one of the best motion capture phases I ever seen in a game. So you're interrogating people, just getting clues, trying to solve cases. You go through many places of the police department in LA. I'm really disappointed that the company that made it doesn't exist anymore, which is Tim Bundy from Australia. This has nothing to do with GTA. You cannot go and shoot people in the middle of the street. This game is also not a good port, so I recommend running it at 30 frames per second. There are patches online that unlock the frame rate to 60, but some of the features of the game get broken if you use that patch, for example, how the cars handle, so keep that in mind if you want to purchase this game. Metro Redux, 75% off, so $7.49 US. This includes Metro 2033 and Metro Last Light, both remastered and including all the DLC. So you get all the DLC for Last Light plus a remastered Metro 2033. You can also get the games individually for $5 each. If you already own Last Light, I don't see a reason to get Metro Redux unless you don't own the DLC. But yeah, two fantastic games. They are very atmospheric. On some difficulties it feels like a very harsh survival game. You run out of ammo very quickly. You have to just get stuff from the dead people that you find in your path. You have to recharge your flashlight, and it has very beautiful graphics. I really recommend it. Now we're getting Metro Exodus, I don't know when. So in the meantime, for just $7.49, you can play these two fantastic games. Rise of the Tomb Raider 20-year celebration, 60% off, which knocks it down to $23.99 US. So this is Rise of the Tomb Raider with all the DLC. So this includes the season pass plus the base game. I think this is a fantastic price for this game. It's a single player game only, but the DLC can add some more hours of gameplay. I really played this game a lot. It feels like an improvement over the previous Tomb Raider, which is always a good thing, but it's kinda hard to run. So if you have a 750 Ti, you might want to be looking at 900p or 1080p with lower settings at 30 frames per second. So yeah, highly recommended. Shadow of Mordor Game of the Year Edition, 80% off, which knocks it down to $3.99. So this is the base game plus all the DLC, which in my opinion is a fantastic deal. I got this game a while ago for $5 on Bundle Stars. It's like mixing Batman Arkham games combat plus Assassin's Creed movement, which I think the team that made the game nailed it. So you have two big open areas to explore, and you have to take down some war chiefs, plus you have a lot of orcs just going around the area. And for example, if an orc kills you, it can level up and become a war chief or something like that, a captain. Then it can just keep leveling up till he gets to the war chief. And they all have different strengths and weaknesses, so you can exploit them by just interrogating other orcs to know which the weaknesses are. This game in particular feels more responsive to me using just a gamepad. Far Cry 3, 66% off, which knocks it down to $6.79 US. This is one of my favorite games of all time. It's a first-person shooter on a big open world which is very Ubisoft. It has towers that when you climb them you get revealed parts of the map, plus a lot of outposts to conquer. The shooting feels very satisfying. You can also do some stealth. If you look at Far Cry 4 or Far Cry 5, this seems to be like from where they gather ideas to make those games, even other modern games. You get the towers, you get the outposts, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's one of my favorite Far Cry games. But keep in mind that this game requires you to install Uplay, so you have to be running Steam. Then when you launch the game, it launches Uplay, and then it launches the game. So keep that in mind. Anyway guys, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching and see you next time.